signs: the sun, moon, and stars. Tabernacle of the bridegroom. This is Mazzaroth Decoded. Recording 719 through 724. We're taking it back, fam. Thanks for coming. Let's do this. Here we are. We're looking at Stellarium. And we have Asteroid Vestnina. And we're looking at July the 19th, 2025. This is Asteroid Vestnina. This is very important because Vestnina has been in the codes in other decodes. And that means that it's a high priority because it's being pointed to in other codes besides the ones that we're doing for the individual asteroids. So that's a 1 in a million chance of that even happening. I mean, I'm sure it's beyond those numbers, but uh, this is something that we really need to take a look at and watch its path and where it's moving through the heavens. And I've been watching this one very closely for a long time. So what we're going to do today is we're going to dig a little bit deeper into what we're seeing in the heavens during this time. Let's go ahead and first watch its transition through what we call Persepe or the Beehive Cluster. And this is a spot in the Cancer constellation. And I did a post in the community page um, giving you a little bit of information about the Beehive Cluster. And we have some codes. We're going to go ahead and pull those up first for the Beehive Cluster. And you can see the location of the Beehive Cluster and uh, what happened here. Um, I lost one of my codes, so I'm going to have to put that in the community page. And we'll go into that later because I don't want to have to go through the time that it's going to take to pull that up. We've got a lot to go through, so that's going to have to go into another post. And I will also post that in community, so you'll be able to see those codes for the Beehive Cluster. But this is a very important spot in the heavens. This was considered the manger, and I have this pulled up by Wikipedia, and you can go read the entire breakdown that they have. But here we have highlighted the ancient Greeks and Romans saw this object as a manger from which two donkeys, the adjacent stars Acellus Borealis and Acellus Australis, are eating. These are the donkeys that Dionysus and Selenius rode into battle against the Titans. So, this is a very important spot in the heavens. You can read all kinds of information about the cluster, and it goes into some more details. But our main concern here is looking at it as the manger. And what we are looking at here in the constellation, this spot in the heavens used to actually be seen as to the ancient Egypts. Uh, it was a scarab beetle and not a crab. And this center Persepe was like the heart of the scarab beetle. And when the sun uh, lines up with the Beehive Cluster, it was like uh, the resurrection. This was a sign of resurrection. Because the scarab beetle um, goes through this transition from death to life um, in its, I guess you could say it was its sleeping cycle, and it looks like it's dead, and then it comes to life, and they associated the scarab beetle with the resurrection. And so what we're looking at here is we're looking at the asteroid Vestnina, and we're going to go ahead and pull that up. And we have Vestnina entering into the Beehive Cluster. So we're going to go ahead and watch that transition of Vestnina. And now Vestnina is inside on the 19th, and it makes its transition through the Beehive Cluster and comes out on at the very, very end of the 23rd. And then it makes its alignment with Cancer on the 24th. And we have the codes for Vestnina. We have the alignment with the Scare Beetle. Asteroid Vestnina equals the 11th month. A storm is coming. Judgment is coming. Lazarus, come forth. You are bride of Christ in a blink of an eye. Atomic holocaust. The people rise. Quantum leap. Apocalypse plague. COVID is hoax. Great Depression. Asteroid Apophis. So here's another one that inside of the codes, um, you see another asteroid marked within the codes, and that's very, very rare. And we have asteroid Vestnina in the Apophis codes, and we have asteroid Apophis in the Vestnina code. Obviously, they're in the codes together, and this is something that we keep an eye on because these asteroids have been playing a role in all of our breakdowns. We've been watching Apophis, and we've been watching this asteroid Vestnina, and these codes break down why we're even watching them even more. Because we have the key to the abyss, global earthquakes. I mean, all of this is directly applying right now more than ever because, again, we've been watching this asteroid for a long time. I've been tracking this for a long time, and this asteroid has none of these things have aligned like they are now in our time. So this is getting hot, if you know what I mean. So we have the Anunnaki gods, Enoch, Elijah revived, a serpent-headed lion, Luciferase vaccines, rise now meek, and markets plunge prophecy. So we know that this is heavily involved in the signs that we're looking for right now. And we can see that Vestnina is on the 24th, aligning with the Cancer constellation. And we know that the sun enters the Cancer constellation on the 21st into the 22nd. And on this day, we have the new moon. We have the entrance of the moon into the Cancer constellation from the Gemini constellation. Again, we've been tracking all of the signs in Gemini for the bride and the bridegroom. And now we see the sun transitioning into Cancer. And this happened on the 21st. And now we're looking at the signs in Cancer. And we can see how Vestnina is pointing to this Beehive Cluster area right before the sun gets to this location. So we wanted to make sure that that is pointed out because this manger area was looked at as multiple things. I posted some stuff in the community page again, and one of the things that I left out is that it was the House of the Lambs, and that this was the location where they had the stories of the baby lambs going, and that this was the manger for the lambs inside of the Cancer constellation in the Beehive Cluster. And there's many other stories throughout history. The reason it got its name is there were cultures that considered the Cancer constellation a bee, and that this was the actual bee's hive, and that this is where the honey and the gold, and there were many stories throughout history. You can look up all of the tales of the Cancer constellation and the Beehive Cluster, and some of them directly apply to the signs that we're looking for in the heavens. But I wanted to make sure that I really got everybody's attention with this location in the heavens because the sun is approaching this area. And again, I want to point out that when the sun meets the Beehive Cluster, it is considered a resurrection sign in ancient Egypt. And I'm not sure if there's other cultures that have this um, same depiction, but you can see it in all kinds of Egyptian art. And they have the scarab beetle holding the sun. Some of them will have the scarab beetle in front of the sun, or there's even images where the scarab beetle is actually pushing the sun across the sky. There's all kinds of imagery that you can see that they were using these star stories to explain the details of the constellation. Give me one. Okay, so Vestnina being very important, and we see that at the time of this alignment with Cancer, we see the sun, the moon, Unomia, and Mercury all in the constellation of Cancer. It's a lot of signs to go through alone just with the sun and the moon being in a new moon phase in the constellation. When you have those kind of alignments, it is usually a lot of power and energy within each of the constellations, and then that makes it even more when you have other heavenly bodies that are there to deepen the sign or empower the sign, and we're looking at the signs in the heavens. So, what we're going to do next is we're going to watch this moon, and we're going to watch this transition back here. So on the 20th, in the early morning, we had the moon, the bride, enter the Pleiades or the Seven Sisters. This was another very important sign in the heavens. And we are watching the moon transition across the Golden Gate of the ecliptic in the constellation of Taurus. And it was fully eclipsed. Let's look a little bit deeper at this here. You can see how it was going directly across Alcyone and multiple of the main stars. And that is really important when it comes to the bridal signs. Because remember, this is like it's like the where the bride goes to meet the bridesmaids to get ready for the wedding. And so whenever we see the moon in the Pleiades, this is another one of those closet things where um, we see that the sun coming out of its chamber. We call these chambers either closets or chambers, or they are a holding place. They are uh, multiple locations within the Mazeroth, and the Pleiades is one of those. So whenever we have a transition of the moon through the Pleiades, it's a time of high watch. And so we were watching the moon do this on the 20th, and these are very important signs for us to keep watch of. And this is something that you can do each month. You can see the moon transition through this part of the heavens as it goes across the Golden Gate of the ecliptic, and it doesn't always align through the Pleiades. So when it does, we are always on high watch to see the transition. This is also called the Seven Sisters Portal. And remember, this is like the maiden's chambers. And so this is always a sign to us if we're looking for anything that has to do with the wedding or the preparation for the wedding. And so this would be right before the wedding takes place, and that is can be seen in either the silver or the golden gate. So then we have the moon the next day, actually the 22nd is when the moon is inside of the silver gate. And it's also still in its what we would consider new phase because it's before it has shown any light. For us, we would not be able to see this yet. I believe it was the 23rd when they first could see the light. And so this moon in the silver gate during its no light period is another sign. We also have Venus inside of the horns of Taurus still, and Jupiter is still in Castor within Gemini. These are all bridal signs to us. These all fit together within this bridal story. And we're still watching this story play out. And all of these things play a big role in what we're looking at. So we're going to go back to Jupiter now, and we're going to be looking at the alignment of Jupiter on the 19th. So we have the 19th here with Jupiter in Castor. And this is a day that we had Vestnina entering Prasepe, or the Beehive Cluster. And if you look at the artwork of Castor, it shows Castor always taking a knee, taking a bow. And you have Jupiter with asteroid Iris, the eye of God, right there, looking at this, what I consider the bride kneeling before the the bridegroom. This is uh, like a sign of commitment. And we have Jupiter, the king is right there. So it's like uh, Castor, the bride, is kneeling before the king, and the eye of God is right there watching the entire event. And this is going down on the 19th. We have Jupiter aligning with the bride. And again, this is happening the same day as Vestnina. And again, this happens immediately before the moon enters into Pleiades. So to me, this is all connected in the heavens. These signs are all fitting together with the bridal sign. So next we're going to Davida. This is asteroid Davida. And now we see asteroid Davida aligning with the bridegroom. And this is uh, pretty crazy because We know that Christ is called the Son of David. We have we have David essentially aligning with the bridegroom Pollux, and this is happening essentially on the exactly the same day. Um, yes, it's happening on the exact same day that Jupiter makes its alignment with Castor, the bride. So these signs are all happening together, and it's quite amazing to me, having done this work for a very long time, to see all these things transitioning at almost the same time. I had to go back and I had to bring all of this forth because these are all really important signs for us to watch in the heavens. And this brings forth some education on how these heavenly bodies are working to show us this grand story in the heavens. So, asteroid Davida aligning again with Paula on the 19th. And then we go to the codes and we look at asteroid Davida. Why is it doing this? Okay, we just got the Beehive Cluster back. So let's go ahead and jump back on that. We have the star codes for the Beehive Cluster are urgent message, July 19, December 13, December 17th. Heaven is a place on earth. Great perplexity. Anunnaki arrival, invisible spirit, a virus pandemic, Lions of Israel, I am the chosen one, the Antichrist, the second coming, I am the angel of death, this is Yahweh, ritual sacrifice, 144, restoration, comet, ping pong, be ready, stay calm, and behold the Lamb of God. Um, that goes deep. And so I wanted to make sure we had that. Now let's see if we have, now somehow, that took my code, uh, for Davida. So I'm going to have to drop that one in the community for everyone to see. Something funky happened with my my downloads that I did. So hopefully we can rectify that and get that posted tonight. But Davida making this alignment very important in our signs. We were watching Davida with Cetus. If you remember back, if you've been watching for a while, we were looking at Davida marking Cetus, the sea serpent or the whale. We can look at that as a sign of Jonah. There's many different ways of looking at any sign that's happening within Cetus. And again, if you've been watching the new Comet 3I Atlas, then you know that it originated from Cetus also. And we were watching other comets that were doing the exact same thing, coming from the constellation of Cetus. and being heavily involved in the signs that we're looking at now. So, very important to keep an eye on all of these heavenly bodies, and the codes help us to deepen the story. So, next we're going to Unomia. This is Asteroid Unomia, and this is making its alignment with the Cancer constellation here. And you can see that 3D Biela is also right there. So we have Unomia now on the 20th, making its alignment with the Cancer constellation. And we know we were just looking at Vestnina marking that, and both of these asteroids have been involved in a lot of the signs that we've been looking at. So let's go to Unomia. I don't know, why is it doing this? Very strange indeed. Um, Forgive me, fam. I'm having some technical difficulties. It is doing something very strange with my codes. So I might have to drop a lot of these into just the community page for everyone to see, because there's something going on. But let's pull that back. And this is Asteroid Unomia, and it made its alignment on the 20th. And again, we've been watching these very, very, very important alignments happening in the Cancer constellation. Now we're looking at 3D Biela. This is a comet, and we're going to go ahead and go back and we're going to watch, and we can see how on the 20th Unomia aligns, and then early in the morning we have 3D Biela making its alignment. And I had Comet Biela pulled up, but it has disappeared. So something is happening with my files here in this video. I'm not really sure what's going on. But these are very important signs within the Cancer constellation. We also have Mercury that's sitting right in the claws of Cancer. And this is also a very important sign. Remember, Mercury is a messaging star. And so it is pointing, it's pointing to us as a messaging star, saying, hey, look here, we have something going on here. Mercury is the closest planet to the bridegroom, and it can be considered like the best man. It can also be considered um, the closest confidant of the bridegroom, and we can see how it's involved in the bridal signs as the sun transitions through the heavens. So whenever Mercury is in a location that looks like a sign, we're to look into the heavens at the surrounding area for more information. So when we see comets and we see asteroids making alignments with these constellations, then it's it gives it a lot of power and energy, and we're to look to the heavens for more details. And so, again, with these codes, I'm just going to drop them in the community page, and that way I don't have to take the time. We can keep this somewhat manageable. Otherwise, they go like an hour and a half because of how much time it takes me to go dig up the stuff on my design platform. So let's go ahead and just move forward on the. We're looking at the 21st at first thing in the morning, and this is the alignment of 3D Biela, and we can see here that the sun is just coming into the constellation. If we go back a day, it's not in the constellation. If we transition to the 21st, it's now moved into the constellation of Cancer. Now we have the sun in Cancer on July the 21st. Some charts show it entering on the 22nd, but I would consider this right here as the sun in Cancer. And you can see this with the meridian, and it is inside of the marked territory of the Cancer constellation. And this would also align with the timing of the Mazeroth calendar, because it's the 21st where we have a changeover on the calendar. And from my understanding, it should always align with Cancer. And so this is a very important sign when you're looking at uh, calendars that are associated with the constellations, like the Mazeroth calendar. It has to have a very specific alignment, otherwise, it doesn't fit. And so we're looking at the transition of the month on the 21st. And what do you know? We have the sun entering into the Cancer constellation. So it works. And we're going to move forward. Again, we're looking at the 11th constellation in the Mazeroth. And that doesn't equate to the 11th month, it equates to the 11th sign or constellation. Remember, it begins with Virgo and it ends with Leo. And so Cancer is considered the 11th sign. And you can't truly calculate all of the month through the Mazeroth because some of the signs are much bigger than the others. I believe Cancer is only a 20-day march of the sun through the sign. And that fits more of a like a Mayan calendar. I believe they have the 20-day calendar, and that fits directly with Cancer also. And that's why I've heard that Cancer is a good way for you to track your month. If you can make that alignment at the beginning of Cancer, and then you know that you're tracking correctly. So we have the sun entering into the Cancer constellation on the 21st And again, we have all these other signs happening days before and days after, as you'll see. So this is the 11th constellation. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go look at Juno. And Juno is exiting the Libra constellation. So let's look at Libra really quick. We can see how Vesta, and let's see. Let's actually just scroll in and see if it'll pull Juno back up. Okay, here we go. So we can see Vesta and Metis and Juno are all in the constellation of Libra on the 21st. And then on the 22nd, Juno transitions out of the Libra constellation and enters into Serpens. And so let's go ahead and see if it'll show us Juno in Serpens constellation. There we go. So now Juno has transitioned on the 22nd into the Snake constellation of Serpens, being held by Ophiuchus and um boy, it really screwed up all my codes. So we have a sign. Again, we've been watching the motion of Esther and Juno and Vesta and Metis and Dembowska. They have all been continuing to show us the signs in Libra. And so when I saw Juno move into Serpens, that was a big sign for me because if you remember before, we were watching the division of Esther entering into the Hoopa, and Juno on the last go around did the same thing. It entered into Serpens, and Esther entered into the Hoopa. And so these are very important signs for us to watch. These are all bridal signs. We're looking at on the 22nd, we're looking at Juno entering into the Serpens constellation. And then we have on the 24th, let's go to the moon. And we're going to be watching this where we have the moon now marking Persepe. This is one of the closest I've ever seen with not actually going inside. It is literally right on top of the Beehive Cluster, and we're looking at July the 24th. This is a new moon with the alignment of Cancer and the Beehive Cluster. Again, this is the bride with the lambs. And this is language to us. We were looking at Vestnina, and Vestnina entered on the 19th. And let's see if that's showing it here because it should be right. Vestnina should be right there. Uh, so let's go ahead and pull that up so we can see how the moon is transitioning right there with Vestnina. And we can see how when it aligns with the Cancer constellation, it is right before the transition to the 25th. So we're looking at some major signs in the Cancer constellation. You can see how Mercury, let's go ahead and pull that up. Mercury makes its alignment on the 25th, first thing in the morning, and that was going to be on my next breakdown, but we're going to go ahead and show it here. We have Mercury now on the 25th, aligning with the Cancer constellation. And again, we can look at this and we can see how the sun and the moon and Mercury are all right here in the constellation of Cancer. This is very powerful sign, and we are looking at a message in the heavens. And this is happening first thing in the morning on the 25th. And we're going to come back and we're going to do a whole nother week of signs. I wanted to get to through the 24th and enter into the 25th. And then we'll get back and we'll break down the rest of the signs from the 25th through the end of the month. Um, I'm just getting back to the point where I can start pulling stuff up. Uh, it's been a lot of work just to get this place set up, get organized, get all my stuff. I had to go through. I had to just basically throw all of my files in boxes, um, and I didn't have things as organized as I really wanted them to be. So when I got back to pulling everything out, it was a disaster. And I have had to go through organizing everything again to be able to even do this. So I've finally got everything somewhat organized, and I've got a semi studio set up. So it's just going to get better from here. We should be able to do this on the regular now. It's taken a bit to get to this point. I'm going to start working on rectifying some of the computer stuff, and that should allow me to use the full version of Stellarium. And also, I have some issues with my recording stuff that I've got to deal with still. But I've had just so much going on and so much work. Summer is really the only time that my own company makes any business because it's a exterior washing business, and the rain here is so extreme that uh, typically it's like a 3 or 4 months, and the rest of the year is nobody really does anything. So I have to try to get in as much work as I can in the time that is available, and that makes it difficult for me to do a lot of the stuff like this. Whereas in winter, I have tons of time to uh, focus on doing the Mazeroth and looking for the signs in the heavens. In the summer, it's very difficult to make the time. And so I'm going to do my best with the time that I have. Um, there are a lot of things happening on a family level for me that I need to attend to. And so that's going to take some time, but I am going to try to catch up as much as I can and get us all caught back up to being current. So thanks for coming, and we will see you very soon. Much love.